A new study shows 1/3 of all Americans are now showing signs of depression and anxiety. It's an alarming statistic about the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the psychological well-being of Americans.
UW Health distinguished psychologist Shyla Murgain joins us now with some tips on how to develop some emotional protection during the pandemic. Hi, Shyla. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Oh, great to be a guest again.
Oh, it's great to have you. And it's really true. The physical part of this is hard enough, but the emotional side of it seems to be even more challenging. And you've got some really good strategies. You suggest it begins with showing some compassion toward yourself and others. What do you mean by that?
So when we are going through something as difficult as COVID-19, we see our state has opened up since I was the last guest on the show. We've had protests around the country in many small towns and large cities in Wisconsin, but yet the pandemic persists. And we find research shows from other situations like traumatic events like the 2003 SARS outbreak, that there were about 1/3 of people that experienced significant anxiety and depression that persisted. About 1/4 of people had that but were able to bounce back and stay resilient. So one of the things I really want to talk about is emotional protective equipment, EPE, that we can use to really stay resilient. We're having a tropical storm coming through right now as we're doing this interview, and I think of resilience kind of like a tree or a flower bending, but then bouncing back from that storm. And self-compassion is one of the things that can really help us. So when we work on self-compassion, we think about when we're struggling, when we're having a moment of difficulty, to simply acknowledge it and then offer kindness to ourselves. We can do this in 2 ways. First, just offer yourself some words of kindness, kind of like a best friend, how he or she might talk to you. You might say something as simple as, may I be kind to myself, or this is tough, but I can get through this. Second, you might consider doing some physical gesture of kindness. You might put a hand on your heart, taking a few deep breaths, or even give yourself a hug. So many people aren't getting enough touch. They're skin hungry. And something as soothing as giving yourself a hug or putting your hand on your heart and just taking a few breaths can help you, like that plant or tree that's bending in a storm, bouncing back, staying resilient, so you can really navigate this time.
You also say you should engage in mindfulness moments. What do you mean by that?
When we're stressed and overwhelmed or feeling down and depressed, and again, that's a striking statistic that 1/3 of people are really struggling with this. Our mind is often going in the past or the future with doom and gloom images. Mindfulness can really help. I, in particular, want to encourage people to do a be here now practice. There are 2 ways I'm going to recommend it. The first is to simply put your fingers together. This helps stop some of that rumination, that negative thinking. You might push your feet in the ground and just take a moment, taking a deep breath in, and just tell yourself, be here now, taking that deep mindful breath. Then look around you using all your senses, noticing what you notice. That really helps ground you in the moment. Second, I encourage getting outside and doing this, maybe doing a walk or gardening. Those are really therapeutic things for the soul to connect with nature. And then do that similar be here now, maybe through movement. Maybe you're digging in the dirt or moving your body with walking. And then again, connect with your senses. Allow yourself to absorb what you're seeing, hearing, smelling, even tasting, everything you're noticing. Again, when we're grounded, we get to be that place of stability, that calm during the storm. And then we can best navigate kind of the self-care, the action steps that we want to take.
And you're not alone. Remember that.
Definitely. We really want to foster social connection. And in particular, during this time where there's a real multicultural movement, we're being asked to really break down some of those divides, that those barriers that get in the way. And in particular, I want to recommend a Just Like Me practice, that when you encounter strangers, friends, relatives, your own family, consider for a moment what life might be like for this person. And then you might really reflect on the ways you're similar, how this person is just like you. They've struggled, they've felt overwhelmed, they've felt sad and scared. They're worried about their own health or their family members' well-being. And then send a simple wish that they be well, that they're happy, healthy, free of suffering. And that kind of practice, again, offering compassion towards others, really recognizing the common humanity, helps us feel that we're a part of this larger collective and we don't feel so alone, and can really be inspiring in terms of navigating this challenging time.
All right. And get help if you need to. Shyla, great to see you again. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Shyla. Great
great to be
talking to
here.
you today.
Final check of your forecast coming up.